Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our trip meeting. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Krista Novak. I'm the band director here, and this is my favorite choral director at Portland High School, Sam Tucker.
Right.
Of course, he is the only choral director at the high school, so. Anyhow, we are so excited to be here this evening. I said to my band this morning, I cannot believe that the trip is next Thursday already. It seems like forever for it to get here, and then yet it's, oh my goodness, how is it here so soon? So I appreciate you coming, and then those of you that are at home that couldn't make it and tuning in right now, we certainly appreciate your attention to detail, and hopefully we'll get through this pretty quickly. I know everybody's super busy. So here we go, Virginia Beach or bust. Next Thursday is when we leave. So I just want to do a couple of introductions for you to let you know who our chaperones are going to be while we're on the trip, and I want to give them a huge thank you right now because we cannot do this without them, and their help and support is incredible throughout all of this process. So we have here Brianna Vazone is a Portland High School math teacher. She's volunteering to come along with us, which is very exciting. So all the AP Calc kids, you're not getting time off. We have Dylan Bernard, our CTE teacher. He's up there in the tech booth running tech, and he is a roadie. He's going to be taking pictures. He's our built-in paparazzi is what I like to call him. So if you see Mr. Bernard running with the camera, make sure you smile. Krista Larson is a dual duty lady. She is a parent of our students, and she's also a Portland High School math teacher. And she's here over in the corner if you don't know who Krista is. We have Michael Gibor. He is a parent and also here as our site director, newly hired site director here for after-school activities at the Portland Secondary Schools. And also another dual enrollment is Jill Palma. She is a parent, and she will be our nurse medical professional while we're on the trip. So thank you to all of our chaperones for your help in advance. So we passed out the itinerary to you, and what we'll do is make sure that one of these is in everybody's suitcase because you're going to want to know where you're going and what you're doing, and inevitably we sort of sometimes forget to pack that one little thing. So I have copies, and when we do your suitcase check, we'll make sure that we tuck that in there for you so you know where you're going and when. But just a quick overview. Our first day, our travel day, is going to be on Thursday. We have a departure time that's pretty early in the morning. It's 6:30 a.m. So in order for us to be on time for that departure, we need to be here a little bit early. And so we're going to be here around 5:30 in the morning. Duncan, I think, opens at 5, so you should be okay to get your little morning cup of joe there to get you ready to roll. At that time, we'll kind of assemble. We have to do some last-minute checking of our carry-ons and then loading the buses and so forth. And then once we're ready to go, if we're ready before 6:30, then that's our plan is to leave. But we're targeting that 6:30 time. We should arrive in Virginia Beach around 8:30, hopefully a little bit sooner. We do have some stops in the route, so, you know, again, that's going to depend upon how long that takes. We are a smaller group this time, so just 2 buses is going to be easier to manage than when we take 3 or 4. So hopefully that 8:30 time is a little bit earlier, but we're going to report directly to the hotel while we're in Virginia Beach. That's a picture of it. It's right on the beach. It's beautiful. We stayed there before. It is the Spring Hill Suites, so they are studio rooms, so there's queen beds and a pull-out couch, and you should have a view of the ocean. I would recommend highly if you enjoy sunrises to check that out one day because it is beautiful, and you may catch the dolphins swimming by, in the morning. That's kind of a neat thing. Friday is a sightseeing day, so we're going to start off in the zoo and go visit our friends at the Virginia Zoo. It's a great little zoo, and kids really, really love it. Then after that, we'll have lunch, and we're going to head over to the Nauticus in the USS Wisconsin. We had some really positive feedback the last time we visited this venue. The kids really liked it, so this is one of the favorites of the trips that we've done in the past. And then after we have our dinner that night, we're going to go bowling. We have some lanes reserved for Portland High School to bowl, and we're going to enjoy that in groups of 6, and then we can have a couple hours there. And we're getting dinner ahead of time, but then I know that you're teenagers and you like to eat, so there's pizza and soda. So you're going to be well fed that day. Saturday is our performance day, so you'll see that on the itinerary. We have the chorus will be performing first. While the chorus is performing, the band will listen, and then we're going to zip on over to the local high school, and then the band will perform, and the chorus will listen while we're doing that. Once our performances are done, we will head over to Busch Gardens for the day. Lunch that day is going to be on your own, but there's a voucher that we'll be given in the morning for dinner. That's the awards ceremony, and it's a picnic, and it's tucked in the back. But that'll be that evening. So Saturday is Busch Gardens. So it's a great venue. If you happen to like roller coasters, there's many of them there. If you're not a roller coaster person, there's a lot of other things that you can do to see and to enjoy. But Busch Gardens is a great amusement park right in Williamsburg, Virginia. Sunday, we're going to do some more sightseeing, and we're going to start off at the aquarium because we saw our land friends on Friday, and so on Sunday we want to see our aquatic friends. And I highly recommend taking the nature path over to where the otters are in the otter house. They are extremely adorable and a lot of fun to watch. And usually by this time in the morning, mid to late morning, they're pretty active, and it's a lot of fun. And it's also a nice walk through the marsh to see some of the wildlife there, that marsh walk. We'll have some time to explore the Virginia Beach Boardwalk because we're right on the beach and we're right in that boardwalk area. There are a lot of activities to do on the boardwalk, so when you're thinking about spending money, you might want to click on that to see what it is that you can do. But one of our favorite things to do is they can rent some bikes, and if you've never been in a Surrey, you can rent a Surrey and ride in a Surrey with your friends. Nothing more exciting than navigating a boardwalk with 5 of your closest friends and 4 of them deciding not to pedal, and you're responsible for that whole Surrey yourself. Not that that's ever happened to me. And that evening, we'll have the DJ Dinner Dance Cruise with the Spirit of Norfolk, where we'll be cruising through the harbor. And this is also one of the favorite things for kids to do that evening and enjoy the time. So that is the activities. And then Monday we travel. We're up early and we're leaving hopefully Virginia Beach by 8:15, and we'll be back here hopefully around 8:30. For those of you who are trying to figure out why is the timing different going down versus coming back, a lot of it has to do with the traffic. We're leaving here and we have to hit New York and go through New York during the rush hour versus coming home. So we'll keep you posted on our travel as we go through the process. Special travel accommodations. Some of you have already filled this out, and I have to make sure and verify, because sometimes when you're filling out paperwork, you just sign things without realizing what it is you're signing. We have a transportation waiver form. If you are somebody that's going to be staying down in the Virginia Beach area after the trip and not coming back home with us, I need for you to sign this waiver, and also just shoot me an email to let me know that you are planning to do that or continuing to plan to do that. If you haven't, we have some of those waiver forms here today, and you can pick them up for me and turn them in. The special procedure on the morning is you'll have to sign out and basically, see us face to face. We're just not going to turn your student over to their own devices in Virginia Beach. So you would just meet us at the hotel by 8 o'clock at the latest, so that we can be ready to depart for 8:15. And you can see myself, Mr. Tucker, or Miss Larson. She doesn't know that yet, but she'll be helping to sign out the students for us. So some of the things for planning for Virginia Beach. Here's what's included. There's been some questions about meals, right, and for spending money. What's included daily is breakfast daily. It's a full breakfast, not a continental. So the hotel has breakfast, so you'll get that every day while we're in Virginia Beach. You're going to get a dinner of a sort every day that you're in Virginia Beach. So the first night is at the Golden Corral. So you guys will have a cafeteria food and all you can eat. The next night is at Busch Gardens. That's the voucher. And then on Sunday night, you have your DJ dance cruise, dinner dance cruise. So that's a buffet style dinner for that. What is not included daily are the lunches. So you're responsible for the lunches, and you're also responsible for any meals that you want while we're traveling on the bus. So, for budgeting purposes, you'd have to figure two things. One, how much food you tend to eat as an individual, and then also kind of factor in that we're in tourist area, so sometimes the prices are higher. Again, if we're in a rest stop area and there's a Burger King or a McDonald's in a rest stop area, what might be a $10 meal here could be $15 because they tend to upcharge on those. So just be aware of that. So the spending money, as also incidental snacks, if you're anywhere and you feel that you need to be snacking your way through things in places and you want that pretzel at the zoo or whatever, you might want that. Souvenirs, if there's any souvenirs that you want to do or any of those activities, as I mentioned, on the beach, that would be where you're responsible for the spending money. If you have any financial concerns or something happens on the trip, you might run out of money, you might lose your money, or whatever, you come see myself or Mr. Tucker and we'll help you with that, and we'll have some funds available for you, and then we'll just keep a note of that, and then we can make sure that we square up when you come back here. But nothing to stress out about. We'll have you covered. Please, please, please don't, if you run out of money and you don't eat for those days because you're afraid to ask, please don't be afraid. We want you to eat, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of for that. And furthermore, if you are somebody who hasn't really budgeted money, or you're afraid of carrying cash because you usually do card or whatever, and you need a little support with managing your money, you can ask your chaperone to help you through that too. We're all here for that benefit.
One quick thing.
Yes.
If anybody's using debit cards, Opie just mentioned if you maybe want to call the bank and just let them know that you're going to be using it out of state, just so they don't shut you down and lock you out of your debit card. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to monopolize the microphone. You can jump in any time. All right, so what to pack, and I'm going to send out in the Google Classroom students like a packing list for you, because sometimes that's helpful for people to know specifically. But here are some suggestions. I highly recommend, yes, we are going south, and it's going to be warmer than it is here, but we are on an ocean, so you can expect an ocean breeze. So sweatshirt, long pants, definitely maybe a windbreaker, and definitely some sort of like rain gear, if you will, is important, because we are still going to be traveling. Hi, guys. How'd softball do? Okay, great. Well, welcome. So, it might rain, so make sure that you have some rain gear with you for that umbrella or rain jacket. What else? The dress code. One other thing, a nice clothes for the dinner dance cruise. When I mentioned this to the kids, what I mean by nice clothes is many of you are athletes, so when you dress up, if it's that dress up day for that, or if you go to a sports awards or an awards night, something like that. So, gentlemen, you can wear khakis and a shirt if you want, skirts, dress pants, whatever. Just look nice, business casual, if you will. It doesn't have to be anything formal. But it's a nice event, so we kind of like to take that opportunity to dress up. Dress code in general, I just, representing PHS, I just want you to be mindful of the temperature and the venues that we're going to be visiting. When we go to Busch Gardens, you might want to be mindful of what you have for shoes on your feet, so you don't get blisters. You just want to be mindful that if it is a sunny day, maybe the sunblock, maybe you have something to protect you from the sun a little bit, and that's just a suggestion. So nothing strict. I will say please leave anything obscene at home in terms of your T-shirts, but we're trying to make sure that we're representing us in the best way possible.
Yeah. I have to piggyback on the three things I see doing the Six Flags trip, and that's only single day trips, but doing that for 20 years, it is sunblock. People, we're used to just being up here and not being in the sun, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit too much, and quickest way to ruin your trip is getting sunburn. Not drinking enough water. You have to drink extra water when you're on trips. I know it's a pain in the butt to go to the bathroom all the time, but stay hydrated. That's really, really important. So maybe bring some extra water along with you for the bus ride and things like that. And then footwear. Getting blisters, all the time. And so there will be problems with all three of those. Just don't let it be you, please. Be smart. It's going to be much more fun on the trip if you're taking care of all those things.
As far as performance attire, this is late breaking news. We are having special t-shirts made for you instead of worrying about packing tuxedo pants, shirts, dress, shoes, all of that business and trying to figure out where to change for that after you're done performing. So those t-shirts are in the process of being designed and made, so you will find them as a special little surprise in your suitcase when you get to Virginia Beach. We'll have them all packed in there for you. So thank you for responding so quickly to the shirt size Google form that I sent out. Toiletries, well, I don't believe there's an overly large sundry shop at the hotels, so you're going to want to be mindful of what it is. So I'm going to tell you, make a list of what it is that you use every day, right? Because sometimes we forget the little incidentals. So start now just thinking about, geez, what is it that I need every day that's part of my routine to get myself ready and make sure that you have that. We do have limited capacity under the bus, so if you have a giant thing of shampoo, perhaps maybe thinking about consolidating that and getting a travel size. We're only gone for a couple of days for that. Hotel amenities, there's a hair dryer in every room, so we might not need to have 4 hair dryers. Those of you that wish to straighten your hair or do something fun with your hair, you may want to check with one of your roommates or friends and see if that hairstyling tool you want to share so there's more space in your luggage for other things. We do have an indoor pool, so you'll want to pack a bathing suit for that. I am not certain that the water is going to be nearly warm enough in the ocean for you to go be running in a bathing suit for that. So the indoor pool is definitely a fun place to be, and you'll have some time to do that in the evening. There is also a fitness center. I know a lot of you athletes are probably in the middle of your training, and we're taking this trip right as you're getting your season started. So if you have your little athletic regime that you follow and you want to make sure that you're staying in shape and working out, there is a fitness center where you can be able to do that. For those of you that happen to be baseball players, sometimes they've asked, can I bring a baseball, and a glove and play catch? Sure, there's spots on the beach that you can do that. So that's all something that is able to be done when you have some downtime to be able to do that.
Boardwalk's really great for running too. If anybody would like to run before they get up.
Yeah, the boardwalk, you can do a sunrise boardwalk. The one thing we'll say with all of that is if you want to get up to catch the sunrise on the beach, right, because we'll talk about this in a minute, we just want to inform your chaperones so that they know where you are. Unfortunately, Mr. Giegrick retired, but he was an early bird, and he would be out running at like 5 a.m. with all of my diehard people. Do not knock on my door. I don't run, and I'm not getting up that early to go run. Maybe Mr. Tucker. He's way more cool than I am. The only thing I do is run to a sale. So snacks for the bus ride in the hotel room. Make sure that they're factory sealed, please. We want to be mindful of that. We don't need anybody being sick from anything that might have been homemade. No glass bottles. We don't need breakage on the bus with the glass. We're going to live on the bus for these 4 days, so we want to keep that clean. And then I will say this, when I say be mindful of your food tolerance, usually every suitcase is packed like it's a convenience store. And so, and we start eating that at 6:30 in the morning. I still have that smell from 2012 on my trip to Disney on a bus ride when I had a student eating beef jerky at 6 o'clock in the morning. That didn't end well for him about noontime. So just be mindful of what it is that you're eating and what your food tolerance is, and also what you might be sharing from your friends. If you have certain allergies, okay, we'll get to that. We don't need allergic reactions and whatever on the bus, so I'll keep it with that. And those snacks, right, in your hotel room, you're going to want them. Just coordinate with your roommates. So luggage and carry-on, we do put that through like an inspection process to make sure that everything is on the up and up. So the luggage drop-off is going to be Wednesday, April 6th. Kids are get a little bit nervous about all this because I need it early. My plan is to be able to take care of that during the day. Selfishly, my son has a baseball game at 3:45 that I would like to catch. I'm missing a couple while I'm on the trip. So I want to make sure that I get there, so I'm not going to be staying late to do all that. So we need it for 8 a.m. So that we can check it before the end of the day. What you can bring the next day, right? Because some of you might need certain things for the next day. That can go in your carry-on, and we can always just add it to the luggage. You can give it to your chaperone and add it to your luggage the next day if it doesn't fit in your carry-on. So we have that luxury this time where we're not putting it in a U-Haul where it has to be done the day before. So 8 o'clock right here in the auditorium. Staff members will be helping us search that to make sure everything is on the up and up. Your carry-on, your personal items you can bring Thursday morning, and again, we'll check that before we go on departure. Really, the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we're keeping you safe, right, and everybody else safe, so that's why we go through that process. My little band peeps, couple reminders for you. Please make sure that your instrument is labeled, right, with your name and our town and from where we are. If it's not done, some of you already have that done, but if it's not, please get that done ASAP. See me if you don't have a name tag for that. I have plenty of extra. And then also make sure you have the backups for anything that you need. If it's reeds, valve oil, whatever else you might need, slide grease, because that magic rolling suitcase may not be available when we most need it, right? So you're going to want that readily accessible for you. Other things, communication, how we're going to communicate with you guys throughout the trip. So something that we have not done so much this year because we've been less busy and not traveling as much, is our communication through social media. So if you're not following us on social media, there's a couple of ways to do that. You can either text us, you can either sign up for our Remind, either the band or chorus, or you can follow us through Twitter. If there's any mass communication that needs to go out, Mr. Tucker and I will use that first. The other way we'll be communicating is through your chaperones. Your chaperones, I asked you all for your cell phone numbers. If you haven't filled out that Google form, please do so ASAP. Because then your chaperones will have your cell phone numbers and they can communicate to you that way. For example, when we are in Busch Gardens, right, we're going to be there for many hours. They may or may not choose to meet with you a couple of times face-to-face, maybe perhaps just once, but other times might be a virtual check-in where they'll say, send me a selfie to let me know where you are and that you're okay, and those get very creative. Sometimes they're posing with, on the roller coaster or whatever. I don't recommend taking a picture while riding the roller coaster. You could lose your cell phone, but the main source of communication will be through cell phone. So that's it. So if you need this, we'll send this out again in another communication if the screen goes away too quickly for you. But that's how we're going to communicate. Just some expectations. Here's the biggest thing. This is a great group of kids going. You guys have been fabulous. Mr. Tucker and I and the chaperones expect to have, a great time with no issues. But the most important thing I can say is we're representing Portland High School, and I am very proud, and Mr. Tucker's very proud to always say we're from Portland High School. And by the time we're done with any trip in any venue, usually we're getting a compliment about how incredible our kids are, how respectful they are, and how kind they are. And we want to continue with that trend. So I will just remind you, just be courteous and respectful to anybody that you're encountering, whether it's the chaperones, the hotel staff, the people that are working the festivals, the host schools. Everyone's putting in a lot of time and effort to make sure that you have a good time and something that's memorable. As time goes on, we're all going to get tired and we're all going to be have a little less patience. It's at those times that you want to really work hard to make sure that you're working hard for that extra little bit of grace to be kind and respectful. If you wish to gather in large groups, okay, and in mixed company, please do not do that inside your hotel room. Please find a common area. The hotel's got lots of common areas, and plus you're outside by the beach, the pool. Please make sure that you do that in an open area. Speaking of hotel, being considerate of the hotel housekeeping staff, you are living in a room for 4 days. Please try to keep it as tidy as possible. I know you're teenagers. I have a couple at home, and I ask every day for the room to be neat, but it's still not always there, right? But you know, with 4 of you in there, it gets a little bit crazy from time to time, and you're going to have to clean it up and pack up, right? So my recommendation is keep it neat as you go through, right? And chaperones will kind of be checking on that and reminding you to keep it tidy. And that's also so the housekeeping staff can do what they need to do, which is keep your room clean. And if they have to come in and vacuum or tidy up or whatever, they're able to do that without having to climb over a lot of stuff. While you're in your hotel room, just be mindful we're not the only guests in the hotel. Please no running up and down the halls, screaming and yelling. You know, there might be business people there, other families vacationing there, little babies. Just be mindful of that and respectful of the fact that they may be trying to get some rest or settle down. So keep your excitement to a minimum while in the hallways. This one, please answer the door in the morning when your chaperone comes to wake you up. Okay, every morning you're going to get a wake-up call. They'll give a blanket wake-up call to come through on the phone, but your chaperones will be there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to welcome you to a new day in Virginia Beach. Please consider when you open the door to smile and say good morning, even if you're cranky and tired and not wanting to get up. They too got up, but also please open the door. We have kids that just keep sleeping through it, or they think they don't have to because they already got the wake-up call. That's how we know that you're ready to go. So just please answer the door and consider smiling when you do so. All rooms are non-smoking, and to that end, smoking is prohibited on this trip. So that's that. General conduct, highest level I said. Professional manner when we're performing on stage, backstage, while we're waiting to get into the performance venue. That's our main focus. There's going to be a lot of fun to be had on this trip, but while we're in that performance venue, that's our focus, that we're being professional, as you are, for concerts. Be on time for any meetings or departures, right? Because we're stuck to a schedule here. So if you're late, it holds the whole group up, and it can set the whole itinerary behind. So please, if we give you a meeting time and we're ready to leave, please be there on time and ready to go for that. If you're a little absent-minded and sometimes late for that, set your alarm a little bit earlier and maybe have a buddy help you remember to get there on time. Stay in the designated areas only. When we're on Virginia Beach, when we get there on the boardwalk, we're going to give you a designated area. Like these are, the streets that you can stay between. Only because in case of an emergency, if we need to get there, we need to know where you are. So a lot of this whole trip, there's a lot of time where you're going to be, able to do some exploring and be together. This is all built on a level of trust, okay? And that level of trust is there so that we can keep you safe, right? So, if we say you're the boardwalk between, 2nd Avenue and 25th Avenue, it's there so that we know, and the chaperones are going to be in between that area and kind of just separated accordingly through there so that we have some sort of, ability to find you and be near where you need to be. If you choose to see something that's there, you're like, we had a group wanting to go miniature golfing, and that was like on a different corner. All you have to do is find a chaperone, and there's plenty of us. Maybe someone will end up going with you, and like, I really found this, and it's at 31st Avenue. Mr. Tucker, will you come hang out with us in miniature golf? I'd say yes, because he's pretty good at it. And the most important thing is definitely to have fun. I think this trip is one of our favorites. Virginia Beach is beautiful. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of connect and come together as a group. Okay, so here's the next heavy, right? The drug and alcohol policy. You all sign this. I have to say this because if I don't, then it means that I don't take it seriously, but we in fact very much do. You sign this is according to the policy here, the board policy. The bottom line is if you're caught with something that's a contraband or illegal, we will be sending you home at your parents' expense. And if you're sort of in that presence knowingly and not removing yourself from that and continue, you will be considered guilty as well. So my strong recommendation to you is don't do it. So the school policies were related, if you want to look them up, it's 6153 or 5136, 5131.6. And it's part of that overnight packet. It outlines it pretty specifically what the expectations are for there with that. All right. Opie, here comes the medical question. I'm going to turn it over to our medical professional extraordinaire.
I'm going to sneak in and do two things. Yep. Just three things I wanted to outline real quick before. Number one, I just want to emphasize the idea of making sure that you're on time. Anytime there's something scheduled, we've had people in 2 buses waiting for, 2 or 3 people, and everybody's waiting, and it's not a great position to be in. Then those people, sheepishly get on the bus, and yeah, it's not a great scene. So make sure that you are on time for everything. If you don't have a cell phone, your cell phone dies, so there's some problem, make sure that we're always with buddies. So maybe make sure that the chaperones know who your buddy is, know who you're with, so that we can contact whoever you're with if we need to get in touch with you if it's one of those free times. And the other thing was about bringing like instruments and things like that. Chorus members, I think we're going to be using our folders. So you may want to think about getting your folder, your black folder with those 2 pieces in it. You may even want to leave some of the other pieces in the slot in your folders in the chorus room, so it's not, it's as light and travel ready as possible. But we probably will be packing your folders too, so make sure you have that with you. I think we're good.
Everybody can hear me, yes? All right. I've been on this trip a few times, and it's a blast. And the times I've been, there's never been any issues.
Hey, Opie.
Yeah?
Can you use the mic for the people on YouTube, please?
Oh, sure. I can
Thank
do
you.
that. Is that better?
It's my paparazzi.
Very good. I've been on this trip a few times, and it's, 1, it's a blast. 2, never has there been any problems. But having been on it a few times, I kind of know how it rolls. There's lots of specific laws and rules and regulations around medications, and that goes as simple as the throat drops that we give out in the health room, that we have to have consents and permissions and doctor's orders to cover, and everything's got to be logged and signed. My experience has shown that if I don't require that kind of diligence, students in their free time will go to the vending machines, go to the kiosk, go to the CVS that's on the boardwalk, go to the convenience stores, whatever, and they're going to get their own remedies that they're used to taking. So what I've done is I've kind of taken that responsibility off and said, you know what, as long as I know the students have medications, Claritin for allergies, daily vitamins, Pepto-Bismol for when they get indigestion, whatever over-the-counter stuff that people use at home. And I have it documented, signed by a parent, so I know what students have and then get the opportunity to see it before they get on the bus on Thursday morning. Yes, that means I'll be here at 5:30 or whatever, too. I'm really okay with that. People at this level are responsible and mature enough to know that if I've got a peanut allergy, I'm not going to hang with my buddy that's eating peanuts. So there is a lot of self-awareness and self-responsibility. Anything that is a prescription med, that's the stuff we need to hold on to and dispense. I can't take the liberties with some of those treatments that I can with Lactate or Tylenol. So I think the forms were sent out. If not, there's some available here to get me that information and to get me the meds by Tuesday, so I can check them all in and set up a process. And we're lucky enough to have Jill go, and so they're going to be under strict medical control, and she's going to know what's what. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I know there's folks that take their meds at night or take them in the morning before school. Some folks don't take their meds because it's the weekend, whatever. Just make sure I have that information so we can stay on the up and up. Yes? No, if it's a prescription med, a medication for anxiety, I'm just going to throw that out there. If it's a medication for anxiety, and you have to get it signed by a doctor and filled through a pharmacy, yeah, we need to control those, and the students will have to arrange with Jill a time to come and get them in the morning or at night. Again, in the past, I've had as many as 30 meds that I had to dispense, and as few as 3. And when there's only a couple, I would go around room to room because it was more discretionary that way. But yeah, if it's a prescription that you need to get filled at a pharmacy, the nurse or the staff members will need to maintain control of that. If that med needs to be taken midday when you're out on activities, that will be in the hands of Jill. And you'll need to coordinate what time you're going to meet to get that. In the event that you're in 2 different areas, then we can work it out with Ms. Novak. And that's why I need the meds on Tuesday, so we can kind of coordinate that from our end. Any other questions about medication? I think everybody's gotten a letter, so I tried to spell it out and make it as user-friendly as possible. With parent signatures, identifying self-administer or keep on self, things like that for the over-the-counter remedies. It's more about me knowing what's there. If someone gets hurt or gets sick, the first thing that hospitals and other places want to know is what medications are they on, needing to have that information. The only prescription med that I won't take possession of or have the nurse take possession of, for those that it's applicable to, are birth control pills. They're in a, they're packaged, and I'm not going to mess with trying to punch out which pills in which package and hold, which is Tuesday, Wednesday. Those, as long as I know they're in place, and I have the consent, then folks can keep those on their own. Did I get that? Yep. Okay. I know given the circumstances we're in, COVID stuff is always a question. The best I can say is I don't know any specifics at this point. The thought is going to be this trip is going to be managed as we do the school. But given that it's out of state, we have to take into account any rules that might be in place in Virginia Beach. Things about if somebody gets sick on the trip, what do we do? I don't know the answers to that. We have a meeting tomorrow with the powers that be, myself, and the directors, and we will try to come up with something that's manageable for all. Don't get sick. That's the easy one, but the inevitable. God forbid, are we going to do tests? I don't know. We don't test in school. Why would we test on the trip? The converse is because you're 600 miles away and you're in a close congregate setting, and if you're sick, that would probably be a bad mix. So I don't know the answers. There are ideas, and I have to wait for the authority to give me the direction that we're going to follow. And as soon as I get that direction, that will be sent out to you probably in more than one form of communication. Right now, the plan, I think, is going to be manage it like we're doing in school. And don't get sick. That's the best thing. Just don't get sick. If you're deathly ill, probably don't get on the bus to leave. I guess that would be the only preface I would say. But everybody's got allergies and snuffles and everything because of the time of year we're in, and you're going to Virginia where everything's already in blossom. Snuffles are going to get worse. So if you use allergy meds, make sure it's written on your form and take them in the way you're supposed to, just because that'll save potential grief. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Anything that I'm missing that you might want to know? The question was access to an EpiPen. If it's possible, I always encourage students to carry their own. but that's not always possible. There will always be at least 2 bags. Whatever venue they're at, there will be one with Jill and one with another staff member that will always have at least one EpiPen, an inhaler, Band-Aids, ice packs, Tylenol, Motrin, and just the bare necessities, but to get through anything. In my experience at Virginia Beach, because it's such a huge park when you get to Busch Gardens, generally 5-6 minutes of a walk, but all the big venues have first aid stations and emergency aid stations that'll probably take care of the matter long before a staff member gets there.
What we will do as far as that with, for example, in Busch Gardens, because we're there for the day, we will check in with the first aid staff, let them know the group is here. This is Portland High School. We'll give them the number of the chaperones. Typically, because Jill is our medical professional, her number will be on first on the list, then followed by me, and then Mr. Tucker. So if something happens at that point and a kid visits a first aid station, the protocol is they call a chaperone, so we know when we meet them there, and then we go from there from that perspective. I had a student at the Big E that got sick and went to the first aid station, and I got the call, and we worked through, and it was a possible allergic reaction, and we contacted the parents, and we went through all of those steps. So it is relatively quick, and so they're not just sort of in the lurch with that too. And what I would recommend to the students is they're going to have the chaperone phone number, a way to contact their chaperone too. If they're not feeling well and something's happening, the first thing they should do is, I'm not feeling well, I'm heading to the first aid station, so the chaperone already knows that we're going there, and they can initiate that ability to meet up. Does that answer the question? Yeah, I do strongly recommend that. I know we talked about prescription. EpiPen is one of those things that I would really, for my own ease of mind, is that the kids carry their own if possible. If we're on stage for that minute where they can't necessarily have it with them because they're performing, it's off stages with the chaperone, we'll have somebody there. But I just think that's the safest course of action, is that they carry that themselves.
Anything else? As always, if you think of something else as time marches on, you can access me here at school. I'm here through the week, and I always leave a message or an email. I check my email even when I'm home, and when it's specific to the trip, I will try to answer any questions as they come up and I see them. Have fun. It's a blast.
Does anyone have any other questions, general questions about what we're doing? Dana, I think that's Dana. Well, where would you be would be my biggest concern, and then we would have to. We'd have to. Okay, that's a great question. Okay, that's it. So, we're going to depend upon the day. Each day I'll look at what the wake up call will be and when breakfast will be available for you. But you could figure if a general call might come around, let's say like 6 a.m. If you wanted to get to the fitness center before that, you just let your chaperone know, like, hey, I want to get to the fitness center for 5:15. They just arrange that, and that's something that they know, and you've created that through your chaperone, right? So that they know that they're there because they're going to do the check-in. So listen, again, I'm going to talk about that whole trust thing. We're going to tuck you in at night. We have security that's going to be watching for you, making sure that you're not running amok. And if you need to ever come out for some reason, you're not feeling well, or you need something, communicate with your chaperones. That's what they're there for. The biggest part of all of this is that we're communicating with each other, and that we're respecting you as young adults, and making sure that we know where you are, and making sure that we're keeping you safe, because your parents all want you to come home the way that you left. Speaking of the way that you left, so when we're on the boardwalk, you may pass a place that's like a piercing place, and you might get this great idea that it would be really cool to come home with a new piercing. I highly recommend that you consider the consequences of a new piercing that happens there, right? It might not necessarily be the cleanest piercing shop. I'm not recommending that you get a tattoo if you're 18 and that's something that you're able to do. We need to think through the consequences of those actions. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I've had individuals that think it would be a great idea to get their belly button pierced, and it ended up infected, and their ride home, they were miserable as the pus was oozing out of their belly button. So, yes, perhaps we save that for somewhere clean and recommended, and, you know. Yes. As our medical director said, some of those diseases are forever. So I would just really think through what might seem like fun and cool. Yeah. Yes. The spending money, if they have a balance in there, the juniors and seniors, we're going to be issuing that to you as a check that'll be coming to you, and within the next couple of days, Kelly's going to be writing that. For sophomores and freshmen that have money in their fundraising accounts, I've reached out to the parents and asked them, do they want to hold it in escrow until the next trip, or do they want it distributed? So that'll be coming out. Yes, the check will be coming to the parent. Not handing them cash, no. No, we're not handing them cash. Jenna, hi. I'm still working through that. I'm just waiting for the final list of who might need medications and whatnot, because if it's someone that needs to have like a morning med or whatever, I might put that with Miss Palma so it's easier for her. So I'm just waiting for a couple of more things to come in and see what that's going to be. But we should know that by next week, Monday of next week. They're all great chaperones. Yes. Are spectators allowed to watch the performance? I believe the answer is yes. So if some of you are coming to travel and support your kiddos, I believe the answer to that is yes. If that is the incorrect answer, I will let you know. But you can go into the high school. I believe it's Jamestown High School for the band, and I cannot recall where it is for the chorus off the top of my head. Lafayette, I want to say Lafayette, but I can't remember. But you should be able to get in and listen, and then they'll send you out for that. Other questions? Cool. Oh, sorry. Mr. Tucker and I haven't gotten that far on that yet. I don't think we're going to be overly crazy about that. I'm just going to say be mindful of the venue that you're at, and be mindful of where you might be seated in the ensemble or standing in the ensemble. Yes. It's going to depend upon when we get back to the hotel, right? For the night, every night it's going to be a little bit different. But being mindful of our hotel guests, usually we have you in your rooms by 11 at the latest, right? You need to get rest. You're going to be way more tired than you think. And you're going to be up earlier than you may want to necessarily be. So usually it's about that time. And the chaperones, we get tired too. And we can't go to bed until you go to bed. It's kind of like Christmas morning. We have to wait up. Any other questions? Okay, if you come up with something, you leave here or you think of something, or you have other more individualized questions that you need answers to, you can either send myself, Mr. Tucker, or Dave an email, or you can talk to us after the meeting. Please don't ever be afraid to ask a question, because if you're thinking of it, I'm certain somebody else is. And if it's something that is pertinent to the entire group, and I think this is something that everybody should hear, I will certainly communicate that out as well. As I mentioned to my band students that I saw today and some of the chorus students I saw today, please be aware of what's coming out on the Google Classroom. I know I'm like a form fiend these days, looking for information from you. But a lot of that is important. It's kind of out of the habit of preparing for a trip. So some of this is like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. So I apologize that it's all coming out fast and furious, but please do respond to those, so that we can get our paperwork done and I can get the information to the chaperones in a timely manner as well. Is that it? All right. Hey, we've got a week until we get to go on this trip. I am looking forward to spending some quality time with you all. I think we're going to have a great time. The weather, I know it's a week out, but it looks like it's going to be nice. Just pay attention to that as you're packing. And again, make sure just because you see 60 and right now we're in like 35-degree weather and freezing and you think 60 is going to be warm, there are those sea breezes, so it might not be as warm as you think it is. So just make sure that you have something to keep you warm. And also when you're on that boat, the DJ dance cruise, we're inside, but you can also go up onto the top of the ship, and it gets a little bit cool and breezy up there, so you might want something if you're kind of watching from the top of the boat. You might want to keep something to keep you warm. I think that's it. All right. Awesome. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out or stop by afterward. And those of you at home, thanks for tuning in. And again, send me email questions if you have them from home too. Okay. Take care, everybody.